Good evening and welcome to the Defiance City Council meeting for tonight, June 2nd, 2026. This evening we have Pastor Ben Polson from Poplar Ridge Church on Domersville Road here as our guest to open us up in prayer. Thank you for being our guest this evening.
Thank you for having me. Would you pray with me? Oh Lord, thank you for this glorious day you've given us. Thank you that for this wonderful place you've called us to live in. And thank you that we gather together as neighbors to handle our business, to take care of one another, to look out for each other. And thank you for calling people to set apart positions like this, to serve and to solve problems, and to look out for the good of everyone involved. We pray that you give them wisdom, Father, that you would bless them and watch over them, and lead them in the way you'd have them go. We love you so much, Lord. Through Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. And thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Let the record show that all the members of council are present this evening except for Mrs. Crutch and Mr. Mast. Mrs. Crutch told us last time we were together she wouldn't be here this evening. Do we have a motion to excuse her this evening? So moved, Mr. Corbett. Second, Mr. Engel. All those in favor of excusing Ms. Crutch, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And I believe Mr. Mast is under the weather this evening and didn't want to infect us with anything. Do we have a motion to excuse him? So moved, Mr. Waxler. Second, Ms. Kaufman. All those in favor of excusing Mr. Mast this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Well, we will see them next time we get together. If you would, me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've read through the index minutes for our last city council meeting of May 26th, 2026. Do we have a motion to correct or amend the index minutes as they're presented? Without such a motion, I'll endorse the same. Do we have any liaison meeting requests or reports? And do we have any comments from council this evening? Mr. Waxley.
Yeah, I got a few. The house on Jefferson and Jefferson out. There was a nuisance sign there, so we had all that stuff. Well, the stuff's gone, but now the grass is totally outgrown. I don't know who we got addressed to that.
So we've been working with that property for several months. It's an out-of-state property owner.
When do we just mow it?
So we do. It will be mowed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the books. It's in the process, so it will be mowed.
When we get these nuisance properties, I know you're seeing them over and over and over. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're charging enough. I think that it's more of a lawn service to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to address that.
We've had this discussion before, as you well know. I think it always comes down to what Sean and Kim are comfortable with, what's fair and reasonable. We can't charge $500.
No, I'm saying you gotta make it worth the cost to have them take care of the property.
Right.
Right now, we're just a lawn service to them.
Right.
And we're doing the same ones over and over.
We put the fee schedule on, we cost that out to look at the hourly rate, gas, wear and tear.
Labor,
we-
of course.
Yeah, we definitely, when we go into the budget, those fees will be up again for review,
Okay.
and that would be the time, with gas prices and every other thing, we could look at altering it, but we have to tie it back to, like the mayor said, that it's
But we can't be used as lawn service.
correct. We get it, yeah, I get that.
And isn't there a minimum and then additional charges on top of that? I believe that's the way our fees are set up currently.
So it starts off as the minimum is like an hourly fee, and then anything over that hour that it takes us to get that property back into shape, that gets tacked on extra. But it goes into an hourly rate that we got basically the way Kim explained.
And then my next thing is, the property at Williams and Laddie. That is getting right behind
the northwest.
Yeah, it's right
corner.
across from the park there, yeah, it
Yeah.
is absolutely overgrown,
I think
nasty.
there was an eviction in process there, so we had to tread a little
Okay,
carefully, but I believe that's complete now.
okay. I'm sure you've seen it, it's just.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so for the record, our mowing, our summer mowing kids started this week.
okay,
And the first day they were out, they got, I think, 15 houses.
okay.
And so that's just in their very first day, driving around the city a little bit. They are at it. We will be back to nuisances, yards, things of that nature, pretty strong here over the next couple weeks.
Now, my last thing,
Mhm.
e-bikes again. I had 2 calls, the one lady I haven't got back hold of, I tried to, but, store owners downtown that were clipped or almost hit by bikes. I understand they're supposed to call the police, but I really think that this is getting to the point where we gotta get Mr. O'Donnell involved and look at our, not regular, whatever, it is, our ordinance on that, because it's not stopping, and I seen in the paper the other day where one actually hit a car. So, I mean, they're getting out there, and I think it's something we really need to take a serious look at. And I understand the police got better at doing chase bikes, I totally get that. But when you're getting this many complaints on it, it's something that I think the people are expecting us to do something about it, so.
Well, I think we agree, Mr. Waxler. It's what we can do, what our law enforcement can enforce. There's nothing worse than passing an ordinance that can't be enforced.
Right.
College football was great at that for years, passing rules that the guys on the field in the striped shirts couldn't officiate the plays, you know?
Yeah.
But, so we certainly can look at that, and there's nobody in this room now that wants to be around when something really bad happens.
Exactly.
And it's going to.
It's gonna happen,
And it-
exactly.
So I think we're in agreement that we need to be proactive. It's what?
Well, I know it used to be years ago, I remember when my sister had a moped, she couldn't ride on the road until she was 14. Then they had to go through a class and get a license at the police department and do a proper, these kids run around now, I mean, they're not anywhere near 14, especially the ones on them little dirt bikes. And I see them going up and down Wayne Street, I see them on the sidewalks on Down Street. And they got, I mean, I think it's something we seriously need to look at, so.
Currently, our ordinance is, for the state of Ohio, the revised code. And if you are using your electric assist, or electric mobility assist at all, you run afoul of the ordinance. If you're doing anything other than pedaling or coasting from where you pedal, you're violating the ordinance. Again, the issue is what the mayor said is the ability to enforce it.
Yeah.
If they call the police, by the time police get there, they're
Exactly.
long gone.
So I know Mr. Mack after Tuesday last week, Mr. Mack had a conversation with Chief Herbert. And I think what we'll do is have another conversation and see if it's prudent to invite Chief to city council and let him tell you what he thinks our men and women on our police force can do.
Right, and that would be a good thing, because maybe there's something that you could bring up that needs to be put in the ordinance, or something in the ordinance needs to be changed, so I mean, I'm all for that.
Comment, Mr. Corbett?
Yeah, in my opinion, we need to tighten up this ordinance, because there's too many options out there for our police to decide one way or the other. For example, if you're pedaling on a pedal assist, is that okay, right? Well, we need to clean that up so it's black and white, more black and white, like, no electric powered vehicles at all on the sidewalks. And let's say we pick downtown Defiance, at least get it so our store owners aren't.
Well, you can't do that because of the wheelchairs and stuff that are electric, can you?
Well, I'm talking about
I mean, you gotta be
bicycles and-
specific.
Yeah.
Scooters.
Yeah, but there's still.
Mobility scooters, I don't think you can test anything that's ADA compliant, but I'm talking about electric vehicles, because they're not only bikes, they're little motorcycles, they're even, little scooters, stand-up scooters, and babies can go pretty good. And they're just, these young people are not, I think I told Ryan this, you know, I knew what I'd have been like at 12 years old too, I'd have been just as bad, but, you know, we have to give our police an opportunity to have something that's not a judgment call all the time, that they can actually give us the opportunity to encourage compliance, let's say it that way, so.
We probably agree, the one thing we wanna be mindful of is, I'm sure for some, that's their means to get to and from work, so we have to.
But they
They can
still
be-
need
they
to
can
follow
be
the
on the
direction
road.
of the law if they're on the road. And that's the problem. They're not, they're on the sidewalks and running red lights
An
and stuff.
8-year-old is not going back and forth.
Right, yeah, good point.
Comment, Mr. Hancock?
Yes, two things, it's, with the e-bikes, one thing is, we still have personal experience, 707 this morning at Dietrich and Downs and South Clinton. I'm proceeding west, and there's a bike in front of me, an e-bike, I believe. We come to the stop sign, that bike stops, traffic is green north and south, and this bike continues to process, looks both ways and goes right through. This is the second time that I've experienced this within a week with the same vehicle. I'm assuming that this individual is going to work. I hope he's going to work, but couldn't tell you for sure because I didn't stop and ask. But I agree, I think the e-bikes need to be addressed. It's difficult when it comes to age, because I understand, like, Mr. Waxel mentioned about 1400, I remember those days. But normally you have bicycles as well. You have the children that's on bikes that don't particularly need to be in the street, so we have to be aware of that. Also, it's the same situation as we have with individuals that, go right on red. We see that often, so I think it's, I think I think people need to be educated and understand, that we're not trying to enforce, say, we're looking for the safety of our community. But, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on Mr. Waxler's point? Mr. Engel?
Just a couple things, Steve was saying, we brought this up last year sometime about grass and charging more and all that. They did start to charge more from what they were before.
I pulled it up, it's, $85 for the first 45 minutes and $32.50 every 15 minutes after. And if you don't return the sign, that's $50 additional.
So does that go under taxes or how we do that? How we get paid for it?
Utilities.
Yep.
Water, utility bill.
Yeah.
Well, that's $130 an hour.
And one other thing, as far as the motorbikes and all that, is there a way, would it be a good idea to have the police chief come in?
You
And
just said
we
some
just
kind of
talked.
special meeting of some kind to have him go over this stuff?
We can make that arrangement.
Or, I don't know if that would be possible or.
Can't promise it'll be next week, but soon and.
Well, yeah, right, but because I've seen it, they go across Cannon Corner, there's water they don't kill going across there, it's not good. I just thought maybe if the police chief could come in and give us an idea of what's going on. And I know they can't be there all the time, but at least, like Mr. Corbett said, make it more black and white and do it that way, that's all.
I'll chime in on it,
Ms.
because just to
Kaufman.
summarize, I think 2 points. Yes, I had the opportunity to do 2 ride-alongs with 3 different police officers, Friday and Saturday. And naturally came up with e-bike conversation during part of those ride-alongs. And it seems from all 3 of those officers that a lot of it goes back to the ordinance being an issue that isn't easily dealt with. The other half of it, my second point is, let's remember that the community needs to be educated no matter the age of the person with an electric bike. They have to know the rules, that they can't be on the sidewalks, that they are on the street, and that means they've got to follow rules just like the cars do.
That's where I think the license and
Yeah.
going down to the police department, getting educated in the license.
Well, thank you. And
One more thing.
Mr.
As far as
Engel.
the North Clinton Street Bridge where it's got the bike there for ride your bike, I very seldom ever see anybody ride a bike over there. They're always on the sidewalk for some reason. I don't know if that can be.
So class 2 and class 3 electric bicycles cannot be on sidewalks. They can only be on a path dedicated exclusively for bicycles. And that's the only bicycle path in our city that I know that's exclusive, where they could be, that is exclusive
It's
for
regular
bicycles.
bikes, it's motorbikes, or, electric bikes or whatever. A lot of them are right on top of and some of them are pedal and they're motorized somehow, so. I don't, there again, they just don't use that. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other comments from council? Ms.
Just
Kaufman?
one comment regarding my ride-alongs, just extend appreciation to the police department. Chief Herbert and his 3 officers were amazing in allowing me to do 2 6-hour ones. And even though I've lived in this city all my life, I learned a lot of things from seeing those calls come in and being on various streets that I'll also admit are extremely rough on ride-alongs. There's a few that really need paved. But I learned a lot about our community and some of its needs that are not just to the top of everybody's thinking every day. Until you ride along and see the nature of some of the calls and the volume of some of the nature of those calls that are repeat, there are issues in our community that need to be addressed, and our police officers are doing a great job treating people respectfully and following through and helping wherever they can. But the community is much deeper than just the streets and parks and rivers, because there are people who live here that have daily needs that don't quit.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else? All right. On my desk, I do have 2 things. First, Mr. Mass couldn't be here this evening and asked for him to say, I would like to thank Melinda Sproul for taking time out of her evening last Tuesday to give council a recap on the street paving program. I'm looking forward to a greater commitment to streets and infrastructure improvements in the future. Regards, Josh Mast. And I also have on my desk a notice of application of the Ohio Gas Company for an application to increase rates and charges. But, if you have any questions or would like to review it, it will be with Ms. Elders. And that's all I have, though.
Any further, Mr. Mack?
All right, Mr. Mack.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just 2 construction updates. Hawkins Street paving, the pre-construction meeting was had, and it looks like about mid-June is when that is going to start off. It is going to be roughly from Greenhouse to the Ottawa Douglas area, so that section of Hopkins will be taken care of about mid-June. And then Ralston, the Ralston Roundabout projects, the mobilization for that project will begin early July, shortly after the 4th. The full closure of the area won't be until July 20th. So that is when the project will really kick off in earnest.
Excellent.
Timeline for completion?
November 1st.
That's the date of substantial completion, maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably planning grass.
I get that.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to know what that gas thing was you just talked about. Can somebody elaborate on that?
The public utilities have to notify it. I believe we've received notification from both Ohio Gas and First Energy of requesting rate increases to the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio.
So they need to notify the city that they're applying so that they can raise rates.
So we don't know what those charges increase will be, or,
They'll negotiate with the PUCO.
Yeah.
but as far as our First Energy and stuff, isn't that locked in for so many years, or?
Our residential rates, that, for those that are participating in the aggregation program, yes.
That don't affect those?
That's electricity.
That's electricity, that's gas.
Oh, I thought you said it was First Energy also, I thought.
First Energy has also applied.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Right.
Okay.
I will scan this and send it to all council members from Ohio Gas.
Yeah, I would just like to know more
Yep.
about it.
Yeah.
In case we're asked out there, so we know what you just said.
Right. And anything else?
That's all, Mr. President.
Mr. O'Donnell
I have nothing for you tonight, Mr. President.
and Ms. Sprague.
Just one update, the city partnered again with the YMCA to run summer swimming lessons. So they're offering 2 sessions, one in June and one in July, and as of last week, they had 60 kids registered.
Good thing.
Yeah,
Mrs. Sprague headed that up a year ago and drove that. She's been somewhat involved in the Y, so she, I just wanna commend her for those efforts. It's, as Mr. Waxler said, it's much needed. In a town where we have 3 bear bridges,
Exactly.
everybody should know how to swim.
Excellent, thank you. Now, we are down 2 council members this evening, but we can take a look at the ordinances that are in front of us this evening.
Second reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing the creation of parks and riverfront capital improvement, number 407.
Mr. O'Donnell?
I will defer to my colleague, Mrs. Sprague, on this one.
for your consideration was the 407, Parks and Riverfront Capital Improvement Fund. As I had mentioned last week, the purpose of this fund is for capital improvements. It'll allow the city to sustain ongoing capital investments to the parks and riverfront. It'll allow specific revenue and expenditures to go into that fund for capital improvements. Just one example of special revenue outside of the general fund would be grant funds that we receive. It'll strengthen local partnerships for grant funds in combination with federal and state grants. There will also, I also have an ordinance for a monthly transfer out of the general fund into that fund. It promotes another level of transparency for the taxpayer and auditors. It will become a part of your yearly budget process along with the transfer. And also in the Parks and Riverfront Master Plan that was created, there is several pages that talk about funding of the parks and riverfronts, specifically talking about the city's piece and creating a special fund for large capital projects and not annual expenses. I also had sent out a separate email with a sheet that looked at projected freed up debts. So it's, I say it's a 5-year projection. It left 29 out because there's not any specific debts paid off in 29. But you can see going into 27, this is out of the 403 Capital Fund, which is funded by a piece of the income tax that we'll start to see some relief with our debt payments. After Ms. Sproul spoke last week, and historically spending about $400,000 to $500,000 a year on streets, resurfacing, all of the things she discussed, it's probably more realistic that we should get up to $750,000 to $1 million a year. And have those be, maybe it's not something we can hit every year, but every other year, depending on income tax revenues. But by getting our debt payments out of the 403, some because we're paying them off, and some because I would like to move to the police and fire fund and parks capital projects out of the parks fund, if that's approved, frees up money in your 403 capital. So you can see going into 27, there's roughly 200,000. Into 28 is 233,000, and so so on. One piece that I did not add into this is the Ralston Roundabout SIB loan that we took out for $500,000 at 0%. It's most likely that we will not need that loan. However, in year 27, I did not add in another 100,000. So just again, like I said, if you keep that in mind, there'll be years where maybe you can put more in and back it down every other year. There's still other expenses that need to come out of the 403 capital, the cemetery. Trying to think what else we've taken out of there. Cemetery expense.
really
the streets, I mean, there's a lot of
The
pieces.
curbing and the alleys
Yep.
and things like that,
Yep.
that we also work on, that are just
There's-
traditional street paving.
Yeah. Any questions about this sheet? The municipal court, you know, is low interest, and the Cleveland and Ottawa Avenue bonds, they're at 1%. So to get ambitious to pay those off early really doesn't make sense if you know, you can hold on to some funds. But, once those are taken care of, that frees up quite a bit of revenue.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Sprague?
No
Kaufman?
questions, but I agree that, given the cost of paving and resurfacing,
Right.
as much as can be appropriated for that fund would help. And at the same time, because we've done so much to develop the parks and we have the natural setting of the three rivers, I think it's city leadership, it's their responsibility, all of us, to initiate putting some funds away when we have extra to fund those expensive projects. As Ryan said last week, the cost of playground equipment alone for commercial use on city property is hugely expensive.
Yeah.
But to develop them, it also enhances the city, and I think we have to remember that it's really well spent, because it does a lot to keep the people we have living here, staying here and enjoying their city, not just taking the streets to work and to get gas and to go home. The streets also take them to places like the rivers and the parks, and when families can enjoy that space, it also keeps them here instead of going to another city because there's nothing to do here. It also serves all populations, and capital improvements in the parks can make all populations enjoy them, because there's a lot to be said for the accessibility for populations that are disabled in some way. It doesn't necessarily mean just children. There are older populations who are a huge percentage of our voters on levies.
Right.
And if we can get them into the parks by making them more accessible, you've done good for everybody.
Well said. Mr. Engel?
I agree with, I think, and if we don't use it, we can put it back into the other funds and all that, so I don't think it's a bad idea at all not to do that. I just think we need the money in there in case we do need something. We've done stuff like that since I've been on council for years. If we don't use it, we put it back in to use it for something else. And the same thing with the other thing that we got coming up, we need to do the same thing there. So I just think we just can't not do it. Something comes up and then you don't have the money to do it. So just my.
Mr. Corbett?
Motion to let lie, sir.
We have a motion to let lie. Mr. Hancock?
Second.
Oh, did you have a question, comment?
No, I just want to say that I'm in support of the Parks and Rec, but I also feel that we should highly consider a streets fund as well, if at all.
I talked about that, but you're gonna have one that's your 403 capital. That's what essentially that fund,
For that purpose.
yeah, you'll just start taking, which we already do take streets out of there, to get some of these other expenses out of that 403. That solely leaves your capital for streets, cemetery, some other miscellaneous things, but those are become pretty minimal when you get these debt payments out of there and gone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion to let lie, a second. All those in favor of letting this issue lie until next time, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we will let this issue lie.
Second reading by caption only, an ordinance amending ordinance number 8702 passed November 9, 2025, appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Defiance, Ohio during the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
Ms. Sprague?
Yep. So for your consideration, this is just the appropriation into the fund based off the estimated revenue from the next ordinance to go into that fund. Minus the police, the 792 trust fund is money that the fire received for a donation for their, movie.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Sprague in these regards?
Can we vote on this even though it's still showing that 407 in it?
We can't vote on anything tonight.
What?
Yeah,
We only let lies.
Oh,
Mr. Engel,
No question, most lie.
motion to let lie.
Second.
Second, Mr. Corbett. All in favor of letting this issue lie for this evening and picking it up next time, say aye.
Aye.
Right, we'll come back for a third reading next time.
Second reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing a monthly transfer of funds for the city of Defiance, Ohio for the year ending December 31st, 2026.
Ms. Sprague,
Yes, this is the monthly transfers. Most of these are already established, and I added the 406 and the 407 fund. These transfers I had going through May, through November of '26, and then I always bring back December, because sometimes we have to adjust the amounts. But same thing, you won't be able to approve it, so.
any questions in these regards? All right, Mr. Hancock?
Motion to let
We
lie.
have a motion to let lie. Second, Mr. Engel. All in favor of letting this issue lie, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, this issue will also come back next time for a third reading.
First reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan and declaring an emergency.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Mr. President, last week, council authorized the application of the CDBG allocation grant and the CDBG residential public infrastructure grant. Code of Federal Regulation requires the city to adopt an anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan in the event that the grant funds result in the displacement of low to moderate income persons. And this plan that is attached to the ordinance ensures that any such displaced persons would receive proper prior notice and relocation assistance if applicable from any activities that are or developments from these grants.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. O'Donnell? All right, Mr. Waxler?
No further question, move suspend and go.
Motion to
lie.
let lie, perhaps?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to let
I
lie,
didn't know we had to let that one lie, I'm sorry.
and we have a second? Second, Mr. Corbett. All in favor of letting this issue lie as well until next time for a second reading, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We will have it for a second reading next week. With the items of legislation addressed, do we have any citizens' concerns for this evening? It's nice to see you again. If you like, just state your name.
Yes, and thank you for listening last week, and I'm Barb Neese. I've been doing a lot more research, and these issues are just exploding. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and last Wednesday, he directed the chair of the Ohio Tax Credit Authority to pause consideration of any new data center tax exemption request while the General Assembly Joint Data Center Committee studies the growth of data centers in Ohio. Last year, Ohio lost $1.6 billion in tax givebacks, 2025. That's just a comment, but that's one reason moratoriums are needed. Why a moratorium is necessary? Currently, Defiance, Ohio is using zoning regulations that may not be adequate for the zoning of hyperscale data centers. Small communities face significant challenges regulating hyperscale data centers using traditional zoning because these facilities operate 24/7, consume massive amounts of power and water, and require vast land footprints. Many older zoning codes do not have a designated data center classification. Facilities may be lumped into generic, light industrial, or commercial categories, stripping the municipality of the ability to enforce specialized regulation. Hyperscale centers I own constant heavy cooling systems and backup generators, standard industrial noise ordinance that often fail to account for the continuous low frequent hum. Current codes rarely cap the amount of local water needed for cooling, electricity, and a single facility can pull. Given the speed of AI and cloud expansion, planning boards typically need to work with specialized legal and environmental consultants to draft these modern zoning amendments before application is filed. Ohio House Data Center Commission, Ohio House Bill 646 Data Center Commission. This is a 13-member commission that's working today. That is the reason Governor DeWine paused those tax rebates. This is a commission made up of data center operators, agriculture, county and township government, rural electric cooperatives, water and environmental impact, municipalities, public utilities, economic developments, and taxing. The commission must hold 4 public hearings and examine the following topics: environmental impact, effects on the electrical grid, consumer utility rates, water usage, wastewater discharge, impacts on local water supply, noise pollution, light pollution, impact on local economy, impact on farmland, value to national security, and other relevant topics. This commission is in effect. It is now working for the state of Ohio, but Defiance Council needs to let this data commission study and do its work and then take those recommendations and use them for the betterment of Defiance. My question is a moratorium like I asked last week, is that going to be addressed?
Mr. O'Donnell, are there any moratorium considerations in progress at this time?
For data centers,
Yeah, like for data centers, of course.
So Planning Commission has been discussing the zoning classification issue that Ms. Neese just raised for these kinds of land uses. I did not see moratorium as, it might have been in there. It may have been in one of the options that they're addressing, but right now it's at that level that they're considering, but it will ultimately come to you as the legislative authority for the city. I know that I've shared a couple of pros and cons of the moratorium concept in general. First being moratoriums expire.
Right.
And if, council, you have lives, you move on to other things. If you're not on it, the moratorium expires and then there's nothing again. So if you are a data center opponent, that would be one concern that I would have. The second thing is that based on the outcome of the study that Ms. Neese just mentioned, that was commissioned by the governor, there is likely a very good chance that there would be some kind of state preemption of local moratoriums and local ordinances based on what comes out of those findings. And but for a lot of other uses, what the state of Ohio or the General Assembly will do is reaffirm, reassert that local governments still have their zoning powers. So my concern would be a moratorium might give the city a false sense of security that we have the ability to regulate or prevent data centers, and that really isn't true if the state comes in and preempts the use or preempts any regulations or any moratoriums that we have. Then we're just back to the Wild West. So,
yeah, we seem to be in the Wild West right now, considering what's happening across the country. However, this committee that has been established by our state government, they will address zoning changes. And if we were to sign an agreement with a data center, those changes may not apply to us, and those changes will help city councils all over Ohio decide rules and regulations that do not apply now. I have a lot of information here. I want to submit this to city council. I would like them to read this, because this is what the state of Ohio is doing in the next 6 months. As I said, they will have 4 public hearings
Okay.
for the public
And if
to
you have
listen
some-
to and view.
And if you have some information, we could give it to Ms. Elder and she will
Hey.
drop it off.
Mr. President, I'd be curious where she's getting her information.
Where,
But yeah, in fact, I've asked the last 2 times. Is like, what sources are you using to get this information?
well, those sources are actually bills in the state of Ohio,
Well-
that are in effect, that, this committee that is studying the effects of data centers, they're actually working now.
I mean-
That is an actual bill.
Did you go to like stateofohio.gov or?
Yeah, well, you probably could put that in there and this stuff would come up.
No,
That's
what I'm
why I
asking
ran it
is
off.
where
I
you,
have, here's some more sheets. But I can't believe, I'm finding it hard to believe, is not city council and following what Ohio is doing? This happened last week with Governor DeWine.
I saw that the governor was
Thank you.
entertaining a pause on tax relief incentives.
Well, he was
Well-
not entertaining a pause, he directed a pause. The state of Ohio now has a pause on tax rebates.
Well, when you asked me the question if I was following, last week I saw that was gonna be ruled on Monday.
It was ruled on, I think, Wednesday,
Okay,
after Tuesday's meeting. But that's how quickly this stuff's evolving.
okay.
This is changing constantly. And that's why a moratorium is needed,
And
because
thank you for, and thank you for being our guest this
Thank you for
evening.
your time.
Now, the information that you gave to Ms. Elder, you're gonna drop it in our OneDrive?
Yep.
All right. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Are there any other citizens' concerns or?
She has a concern.
All right. Well, if that's the case, do we have a motion to adjourn for this evening? So moved.
Second.
Second, Ms. Kaufman. All those in favor of adjourning for this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we will see you next week.